My name's Andy Howden, and I'm a researcher in the School of Life Sciences at the University of Dundee. And I'm interested in studying the links between our immune system and Parkinson's disease. So I'm from Dundee originally, and I was born and brought up in Dundee. And then I moved away from Dundee to Edinburgh for my degree, and then I moved to Oxford for my PhD, and then I moved back to Dundee. And my background is not Parkinson's or the immune system. I actually, at university, I studied plant sciences. I was always interested in plants when I was growing up. But I was also interested in Parkinson's. I had a personal link to Parkinson's. So my dad developed Parkinson's when I was a boy, when he was in his late 40s, and he had Parkinson's for over 20 years. And when he died, I wanted to change direction of what I was working on. So I'd always worked on plants, and I wanted to jump over to Parkinson's because I wanted to try and tackle that very difficult question, understand what causes Parkinson's disease, and ultimately try and contribute towards a better understanding of the disease and help provide knowledge that might provide treatments or cures for Parkinson's. So essentially, my research aims to understand the links between our immune system and Parkinson's and neurodegeneration. And our immune system is really, really important in our bodies, protecting us from infection, so clearing bacteria, viruses from our bodies. But in recent years, there's more interest in the links between our immune system and Parkinson's and other neurodegenerative diseases, because while immune cells are critical in protecting us from infection, one hypothesis is that immune cells can actually cause damage to our bodies and might actually cause the loss of neurons and contribute towards neurodegeneration. And this is a very hot topic, but it's also relatively new, and there's a lot we need to try and understand. And we need to try and understand how it could be that immune cells that are behaving abnormally might cause the loss of the dopamine producing neurons in the brain that ultimately causes Parkinson's disease. So that's what I work on. And a bit more specifically, I use a method called mass spectrometry and proteomics. And that allows us to measure proteins in cells. So proteins, cells are packed full of proteins, and these proteins carry out the core functions of the cell. So they're enzymes, they're structural, they're really like the engine of the cell. And during disease and during infection and during just the normal functions of cells, these proteins are rapidly being turned over and being made and are carrying out these critical functions that allow cells to work. Now, I'm interested in how those proteins in immune cells change during infection and during the normal functions of immune cells. And then specifically, I want to understand how these proteins might change during Parkinson's disease. So in someone with Parkinson's, how do their immune cells change during that disease? And are there things that we can measure, some of these changes that we can measure, that might ultimately allow us to understand what causes Parkinson's disease? So I'm quite new to Parkinson's, so having worked on plants for many years, I've only been working on the immune system and Parkinson's in recent years. But I really enjoy the challenge of the biological question. So Parkinson's has been characterized for over 200 years, and yet there's very, very limited treatment options for Parkinson's. So we really only treat the symptoms of the disease. There's no cure for Parkinson's, and there's no treatment that slows or stops disease progression. And that frustrates me, having seen someone with Parkinson's and the impact that that disease has on someone's life. That motivates me to try and help contribute towards understanding the disease and making progress. Dundee's an exceptional place for studying Parkinson's, with some really, really strong research teams and amazing facilities to do the kind of experiments and research that I want to do. So it's really a no-brainer being in Dundee. And I love the very open environment. It's very collaborative. It's not competitive. And it's people working together to try and make an impact. So over the last few months, obviously our research has been heavily impacted by COVID-19. And I've been in the lab a lot of the time during lockdown when the labs were very quiet. I was in the lab, not working on Parkinson's, but working on a project that's trying to understand COVID-19 and the links between our immune system and COVID-19. So it's been good working on that, but it has meant that I've not been able to focus so much on the Parkinson's work. Now I'm moving back into the Parkinson's work again, and I'm at an early stage in this, and I'm really just developing my ideas and starting off my pilot experiments to get preliminary data then for applying for funding to sort of launch my future research career and establish a lab. So that's just an overview of my interests in Parkinson's and my research background.